Awesome. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you today's career community, future career community call, proudly sponsored by Future Career. We are a growing community dedicated to helping professionals and job seekers across Canada and the US succeed by leveraging their strengths and exploring new opportunities. Whether it's through coaching, resources, or connecting like-minded individuals, we are here to support your career journey. This call will be recorded and shared on social media. So if you don't want to be recorded, please leave the session now. Before we dive in, I'd like to introduce some of our expert coaches joining us today. Myself, Ahmed Zayed, I'm a career coach with 15 years of experience in IT and management, specializing in helping professionals land jobs and navigate career transitions. We have as well Mahmoud Abu Neil, another incredible career coach with years of experience empowering professionals to reach their career goals. Samer Kassas, a seasoned HR consultant who brings deep expertise in recruitment and organizational development. And we have also a new guest speaker today, our guest, Neil Robertson. He's one of my Microsoft colleagues, and he's a sales tech, and he brings a ton of wisdom and experience in industry related tech sales. So we'll have an interactive Q&A, so be sure to ask your questions. Please raise your hand if you have a question and state your name, role, location, and your question. We'll take a group selfie toward the end and share it on social media for marketing. Today, I wanna, start with maybe a few questions that most job seekers need to ask themselves and see if they are ready to answer or not. And this is where we'll warm up the discussions. If you wanna share your LinkedIn profile in the chat and make sure your name is readable on the link here so that we can, again, when you call your name, we know who you are at least. That would help us bring this to a safe place. Okay, so let me share my screen real quick, and we'll go through quick of questions, and I'll ask maybe our coaches and our guests to go through those questions and maybe help job seekers with their answering those questions. And again, I put those questions as part of the journey that most job seekers go through, because job search is a journey. It takes a lot of time, energy, investment, and work to help land a job. So,
Eli, not gonna lie,
Elias, can you mute yourself, please?
sending.
What is? Elias, if you don't mind,
Oh,
we
yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so let's kick it off with those questions and see, like, during the journey, have you created a balance sheet outlining your assets and liabilities? And I normally ask these questions to job seekers because this is a tough question that keeps everybody awake at night. Their financials, are they ready to go through this journey? Do they have enough money to help them with their journey? Do you have you created a balance sheet? Do you know how much money do you need every month, and how much are you paying monthly? Is this something that you're aware of? And again, maybe we can open up here and see if you guys want to say, or maybe you can just share in the chat, is this a yes or a no? Have you created a balance sheet outlining your assets and liabilities? Is it a yes or a no? And I'll share this in the chat so that you can all have it, and also share your LinkedIn profile in it. Okay, no. So Louisa said no, and I guess most people don't really do this at all. So it's something that make you feel worried all the time, unfortunately, right? You want to come in, Louise, and maybe share your piece here. Do you want to unmute and we can all help you?
Well, it's really that I don't have I know I have a few months left, I guess, in my budget, but I wouldn't really say I know how much I'm spending looking for a job or nothing like that.
Yeah, so do you think if you know that number and you're sure about how much money you have left, and then you know like how long this will take you, would that be less stressful for you at least so that you can feel like comfortable?
Yeah, probably. Or at least I would know in what to invest, because that's the other thing. I more or less know, I insist, how much money I have left till I find a job, but I don't know how much I can invest into something, or like even a book or a program or whatever. Um, so yeah, I guess that would also help me knowing, or a CRM if I need one or I don't. I don't know.
True, true. Okay, I'll maybe open up for Coach Mo and Samer to chime in here and share their wisdom about what they are seeing from people who they are coaching. Go ahead, Samer, if you want to start.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for allowing me this opportunity. My name is Samer. I'm a human resources and employment expert. I have a master's degree in human resources and training management from UK, and I'm certified member of human resources in Canada as well as in UK and in the Middle East Gulf. You have raised a very important question, Mr. Ahmed, about budgeting. And living in countries in the West End like Canada and America is very costly, and we need to plan. Otherwise, we will be out of budget in a very short time. We need to understand how much budget in hand will give us a lean of time to secure another financial income resource. Otherwise, we might be in a trouble in a very short time. Additional factor also that will help us in this understanding and planning is how when you know that your money will help you to last for 6 months, for example, and then you will work on the other aspect of planning, which is reducing this period. So instead of having your money that you'll spend for 6 months, you will say, how do I save this period and make 6 months to become 4 months? And then I will, as a coach, I will encourage you to invest. Instead of spending every month like $2,000, then that will end up for 6 months. You might say, let me invest whatever, $500 or $1,000 in self-development, in coaching, in reading, in some courses, and that will turn your 6 months to be 4 months. At the end, you put some money and you save 2 months from your time, which is a high cost. That's my really advice for that.
Thank you, Samer.
Thank you.
Coach Mo, and you're mute if you're speaking.
Yes. Well, no, I don't have anything other than what you added and Samer added on the topic. It's pretty self-explanatory here. We all do this. Maybe what I can say is how to move from a mental check, because at some point we do these things mentally. How to move from the mental check that is not tangible to a piece of paper where I really see the numbers and see the list and see the add up of stuff. We're all guilty of, oh, I have it figured out, everything is in my head. And then we discover later on, a couple of months after, well, it's not good enough for it being in the head. I wish I had a paper and pen on it. So that's the only thing I would add it. Just bring it down on paper to make it realistic.
Yeah, you bring a great point here, Coach Mo. And again, this is where, unfortunately, what I'm seeing, and I faced this myself, when I was struggling to find a job and I was really, under the financial stress, bills are coming and I have to do something different. And I don't know when I'll get broke, as they say. And I'm gonna always think about, I need money, I need money, I need money. But I never took the time to really write down, how much do I need and when will I say I'm done with whatever savings or whatever financial that I have today, and how can I invest what I have today wisely, so that I can change my status to land a job real fast. So again, those two questions here at the top, I highly recommend that everyone start thinking about it. And if you don't do those two things, your mind will be always busy with those financials, because that's how humans work. Like we all wanna live proudly. We wanna pay our expenses. We wanna deliver food to our families. So if we cannot make those clear, then unfortunately it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna overwhelm us. It's gonna stress us. It's gonna affect our mental health. It's gonna affect everything. So if financials are not working, unfortunately most of the other things collapse afterwards. So this is why I think it's very important for everyone to really spend more time on those two questions at the beginning, because this will release a lot of stress from your way. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah. Okay. So let's again, I put just 10 questions here. I have more than 150 questions that I can ask you, but I just want to put those 10 questions here to help you with the journey, because job search is a long journey. It takes a lot of work. So I just put those 10 questions to trigger some of the areas that you may need to think of. So I'll maybe ask Coach Mo to share his wisdom here, and then maybe Samer about the mindset and mental health, because Coach Mo brings a ton of experience about emotional intelligence and other areas that he can help us with as a community here. So, have you set a realistic job search expectations? And I'll let Coach Mo share how you can do this in maybe a few minutes, if you don't mind, Coach Mo.
Sure. Thank you, Ahmed. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is I usually share with my coaches something called the magical triangle. It's a mechanism to set first would you what do you want, right? Like, what do you want in writing? Again, not what you want mentally. So I ask job seekers to identify three jobs or three job titles they would absolutely love to do, and not just to work it, but they would love to jump out of bed and perform that. They are happy. We spend half of our life or more in the job, so it's better, you better be happy about it and empowered about it. So three jobs, 3 to 5 industries you want to contribute to, and this would move you from the mentality of I need a job for myself to connect with other people trying to express how do you want to help them, or who do you want to help, or who do you want to make a difference for. And the third aspect, it comes back to the budget and all this that Ahmed said. It's for how much, right? How much would empower you to go do this job? Because even if you love a job and you're not getting the satisfaction from it, either emotionally or financially, you soon might change your mind and depart this. One of the funny things that once happened is somebody told me, I'm just looking for any managerial job. I'm done with being like just first liner. I want to do a managerial job. I said, for how much? He said, I don't care. I don't care how much, as long as I get a management job. I said, how about $50,000? He said, what? $50,000? That doesn't do anything nowadays. I said, so don't tell me money is not important. It is important. So say I want a managerial job with 100K or 90,000, whatever, 150, whatever you want, but just don't downplay stuff, because it will come and bite you. Now, when you have that a triangle, the three angles that or the three sides that I talked about, then you go talking about the expectations. Then you go to the market. You're mapping against something. You're putting something in the market, and that's where the realistic comes into play. Right? How available are these jobs in the market? Whether they're advertised online or I can find them through a network. And then if I don't find them online and I still love this, maybe I can use network. So it gives you a kind of directions, like, because people would say, oh, the jobs are not that I want is not available. Yes, not available as advertised, but if you tap inside the companies, maybe they are in the making, which we usually refer to as the hidden market, a market that's not advertised. At the same time, with your income expectations, a lot of people I find, they set their income expectations based on what they heard or what is given also today in the market. So they say, I would love to make 100,000, but nobody's going to pay me that. But that's not also true, because companies are small size, medium size, large size companies, and some company will eventually pay you that. Maybe it's not the entire population in the company, and that's fine, because you don't have the time to target every company around you or every company in Canada. You can just target the ones that can afford to pay you that salary, and do it, go about it in a smart way, or go the network way. So even when you do that triangle, I'm trying to show that even your expectations will get adjusted and set up, and you try to get what you have as an expectation without compromising who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you, Coach Mo. Any questions, follow up from anyone, or maybe Samer, if you have your own view too, please go ahead and share.
Thank you very much. I think Coach Mo has covered it very well. Maybe I will just add a small thing, if you allow me. So, talking about mental health, I advise to focus on three things. The first thing is to set your own daily routine with a smart goal. So don't go for overrated goals. Always do specific, measurable, achievable, and timeable goals. The second thing is talking about also mental health. The second thing is be careful for your life and job search balance, because overrating that side might exhaust you and demotivate. The third part is avoiding burnout. So set a realistic goals for everyday job search. Don't apply for 100 jobs in one day, and then the second day you're very tired. Set a realistic goals, and continuous steady steps is better than big steps in a short time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Samer. Neil, do you want to share anything from your side?
Yeah, that was good advice, because your job is getting a job right now. So you have to treat it like you're actually working. And then when you're working, you've got goals and activities that need to be done in the day, and you pick the time that you're best at that too. So people tend to be quite tired in the afternoon, or maybe at night you're better. I know people that are different. So you work with what your rhythm is. I put in the side, because there's always questions about how much to invest in training, how much to invest in tools and things like that. And it is a balance between your cash flow, but understanding that every day you don't have a job, it's costing you money. So, but you got to sort of balance that. It's always a balance. I'd be real, if you have a university degree already, I'd be really, really careful about thinking you need to go back to school again to get a job. That's not necessarily the case. There's lots of ways to get work without spending that kind of money, because you've already proven yourself in that area. But yeah, the mental health thing is really important. Every day you're doing something, and it's, as Samir said, it keeps you positive. It keeps you from getting really depressed, because it is difficult. You're kind of wondering why somebody's not looking at you or responding. But if you treat it like a job, do what he says, it really helps keep you motivated. And physical activity is another way to keep, in between that, just like you would at work. The same way you keep motivated at work, do the same things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil.
Ahmed,
Okay.
can I just say something about what Neil has mentioned on it's costing you, and I saw it also on the chat. Let's make it this one also real as well. So in terms of costing you, if you're looking to get, or your target, as I said in that triangle, is to get 100,000, and you're 6 months without a job, the cost right away is $50,000 that are not in your pocket. Now, the next question is how you are doing in the next 6 months. During that 6 months, where if the income is zero, then you're still spending. So it's a double-sided, right? Like you're not getting the income, you're accumulating debt, because life has to go and you have to spend. So time is of the essence for that specific reason.
I always suggest people just grab a part-time job to help fund it anyway, like just to maybe crappy or whatever, do whatever you can just to bring money in until you can get where you want to go.
Yeah, that's definitely a suggestion for people. If you're really not able to reach your goal of what you really worth, you definitely need to keep going. Again, I don't recommend to get stuck with those jobs, but if you by any means you cannot really, go ahead and find what you worth, you need to do something that keeps your bills paid. Louise, go ahead. You can unmute.
I couldn't find the unmute button.
No, it's okay.
Something as a job seeker that I don't know how realistic is when I arrived to Canada, it took me 3 weeks to get a job, and now it's a little bit over 6 months. So it's hard for us as job seekers to know like what's a realistic expectation in time. So I agree with Neil. I've thought about getting a part-time job to fund my job search right now, but I don't know if it like if I would be spending so much time doing that, or I don't know. So yeah, so I guess my question is, what's a realistic expectation time-wise?
Cool, awesome. Yeah. So let's try to help you here, Louise, because again, this call is for helping people who wanna get questions answered. And I see Samer wanna help you here. So Samer, go ahead, and then maybe we'll chime in.
Thank you very much, Louise. Very, very nice question, and I really love the way you presented it. So the first job took 3 weeks. Is the second job search gonna take 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, or 2 weeks? So let me ask the question in a different way. If you have two coins in hand, you throw the first coin and you got the face. Then when you throw the second coin, how much percentage to get the face or the other side? It's still the same percentage always. So whatever you got from the first one, it doesn't affect the second one. They are both different thing, and you have to keep trying every time to get an equal results. Yeah, it's not affecting by less or more for the second job search.
And unless maybe, if I may chime here, Samer, I guess unless you find someone who will show you how to do the flipping the coin in a way that would give you the result that you really want to expect. So, and again, this is where, some experts, who can help you, coaches or mentors or again, resources. But again, if you keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting. That's the truth of life. Like, nothing gonna change if you keep doing what you're doing. So,
Amazing way to explain the thing. Thank you, Ahmed. You drew my attention to that. And that's maybe a question, Luis, to ask. Am I doing something now that is reducing or like increasing the time? Because why the first time it was 3 weeks and now it's getting more? Maybe you have added more things to your resume that is not supposed to be added. Maybe someone advised you from the market to add few things, which is not the right advice, because when you have a pain somewhere in your body, you go to a doctor and you don't ask an engineer. Yeah. So again, for the resume, to get advices from people in the community, it might not be the correct thing. You need to ask someone who's expert in the field, who know what is the right advice. So probably you have added something, and that causing the delay this time. Thank you,
yeah.
Mr. Ahmed. Definitely,
No,
you open my eye to a different angle. Yeah.
no, thank you so much, Tamer. And again, this is, to be honest, what happened to me personally. Like, I did Uber for some time, I did customer service for some time, I did car dealership for some time. I was distracted and I was desperate. I was financially desperate. I needed money to pay my bills. So, if you reach that time or limit, then unfortunately you're more stuck, and this where your mental health is going to be affected more, and you're almost hijacked by that pressure to get money. So if you have in a little bit of financial now that can maybe make you survive for next 2 3 months, I would highly recommend that you use those 2 3 months wisely and find a way to support your journey in order to avoid that mental hijack and that stress, that pressure that I now need to find anything, anything, and that's definitely not good state for anyone here. Coach Mo, I wanna also get some of your wisdom here because I know you bring a ton of wisdom about this too.
So what's present for me is two things. One, a statistic. So there was a statistic out there that says in North America and specifically Canada, the average job seeker would take 6 months, 6 months to find a job. Okay, that's on your own. Now, 6 months on your own to find a job, and I usually put in an addition to that. That is for the person that is in this market and the dynamics of this market already. You can imagine if somebody is coming overseas and you're adding the layer of no local experience, or people skeptical about your expertise out like abroad. So there might be a different conversation or might take a little bit longer. Now, when you say 3 weeks, I got a job, I will say this, and I don't know how it will land on you, but let's consider that it was a coincidence. Like you did not design it to get it in 3 weeks. It was just good luck. That's why sometimes we do not design and we perform certain things in life in a certain manner and we get result, and then this result is not because we designed, it's a result because it was a coincidence, we got lucky. Now you take that luck and try to put it on the next position and it doesn't work because it was not designed, it was luck, right? So you're fortunate that you got that. You're fortunate that you get that. And some people get the jobs less than the 6 months. I'm not saying 6 months means that you have to stay 6 months, but that we're talking about statistics and average and all these things, right? So what worked the first time? Again, how long ago was the first job, Louise?
2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago. So there could be also dynamics on the markets that have changed. You see the market changing rapidly. Some industries are booming, some other industries are behind, and all these things, right? So since it worked one time and then it stopped working, it's worth having another pair of eye to say, let me see what's going on here. Okay, is there any gaps? Because sometimes we don't see the gaps ourselves. I call it the blind spot, right? You drive a car, okay? You want to change lane, you didn't look, you looked in the mirror. The mirror was clear, but you didn't look over your shoulder. You changed lane, bang, the car next to you, right? So it's the blind spot. Now, usually the blind spot in human development and emotional intelligence is where the breakthroughs happen, because I just didn't look there. I looked some everywhere else except this. Usually when somebody says, hey, have you looked at that, or did you consider that, and this, the breakthrough happens and the results happen fast. But as Ahmed was saying, repeating the same things over and over again is the definition of Einstein for insanity. Repeating the thing over and over the same way, expecting a different result.
Thank you, Coach Mo. And I'll maybe let Neil chime in here. But before Neil chime in, to your point, Coach Mo, whenever, when I was a kid, I'm searching for something, and I always say to Mom, Mom, I cannot find it, and she always find it. She always say, go to this folder or this cupboard or this place, and she knows where it is. And I go there and I check it, but I never see it. I don't know why I don't see it, but she knows it's there. She always tell me, it's there. And then when I go there, yes, I can see it now. Go ahead, Neil. Sorry, I just want to share that example.
Yes, fine. So on the timing thing, so businesses work on a business cycle of fiscal years. Public sector does as well. It's quite common. In particular, businesses, what will happen is if you're seeing a job posting during the middle of the year, it's likely because somebody has left. But when they're coming up towards the end of their fiscal years and right after the beginning, that's when they've already done their budget and planning for the new year. And that's when you'll start potentially seeing what are the new roles they want to do and what pivots they want to make. And they usually indicate a lot of that in their annual reports, and some of the discussions you can see where they're starting to pivot. Public sector will do some of that as well. They have healthcare has a lot of challenges just in general to get people, so they tend to see it. But understanding how, like a Microsoft, so Microsoft does a lot of hiring in the beginning of July, like in the first month of July, they start there. You'll see a whack of postings. You'll see it sometimes anywhere after like even May and June, even though it's supposed to be what they call tented, nobody's supposed to know, but you'll start seeing stuff. And a lot of that's the plans for next year. And so you might have at that time caught one of those cycles, and those are cycles that are always there. So the part about the economy, 100% agree. Different industries go up and down. Some of them are laying off, others are hiring because nobody is totally in a recession. So it's understanding what the type of work you want to do, and then understanding looking to see when some of these companies do their hiring, and just it takes research, right? It's a lot of research. It just helps target.
Thanks, Neil. Does that help, Luis?
Neil, Luis or Ahmed, I just want to add something because we talked about the timelines and all this stuff and the budgeting and all this stuff. So Neil, Luis, I am a contractor myself in my job. So that means that every year I look for one or more contracts. So I'm into the cycle over and over. So for myself, I have what I called, coincidentally with that 6, I did it before I knew about that 6 months. So in the 6 months, I split the 6 months. I create for myself a runway, okay, so that I know like sort of like budgeting, and 6 months. So the 6 months, I break them down into 3 zones: the green zone, the orange zone, the red zone. Okay, so in the green zone, I have time. I can afford to do this or that. I can even afford declining offers that are not up to what I'm looking for and all these things. And then becomes that second 2 months are the orange, and the last 2 months is the red. The red is like, okay, if all the 4 months didn't yield something, and I am having something in my hand, I better take it because I'm in the danger zone. But also in the 2 months, the green zone is the one where I can afford to venture and all this stuff. And then if I find that, let's say, I'm not getting the results I want with the velocity that I want, is the time I raise my hand as well and say, hey, I need help. Because after that is orange, after that is red. So I can't afford to wait to red and say, I need help. Right.
Awesome. Great discussion. And thank you so much, Coach Mo, Neil, and Samar. So let's maybe go to the next question, because I guess I want to try to cover at least some of those questions. I'm not sure if we can cover everything, but let's check about mental health. And this community has been proven to help you with your mental health. If you come here regularly and you know that you have somewhere to ask questions and feel safe and get some answers, that's where you get less stressed and less mentally hijacked. So do you have a support network, friends, family, communities to lean on during your job search? I want everybody to answer this by yes or no in the chat, please. I want to get to know your answers and see, like, what are you doing about this, if you will. So just say yes or no in the chat, please. Do you have a support network, friends, family, communities to lean on during your job search? So this community is for you. Again, you could say yes if this is your community, but if you don't have anything else, then maybe the answer is no. Osama, thank you, Osama. Yes. So, Osama, do you want to come off mute and share, how did communities or friends and family help you during the journey? I know that you're not looking for a job, but maybe you're looking to upgrade, maybe, who knows? This could be your chance if you want to come off mute.
Hi, Ahmed. Okay, no problem. Actually, I used my network before I came to Canada to start with, and then my initial network introduced me to new network, so I keep growing my network, and this absolutely helped me to understand something about the market, and to develop my resume as the Canada needs and this stuff. But actually, with my search, the companies that accept me was not related to any one of my network. It was a regular company. I submitted my resume through the careers link in the website, and they invited me for the interview, and everything goes well on this. And then I moved from my city, Hamilton, to Ottawa. Um, Currently, yes, I could find, based on my old job market, or based on my old job portals that I filled out, I still getting invitation from recruiters for all jobs in the market that relate to my profile. Sometimes I look to the job description, find it's close to what I'm doing, so I fill it again, maybe it will increase my salary or give me a better position or this stuff. So, but I'm not actively looking. But yes, I'm interested to enhance my financial situation after this high impact happened because of the يعني, uh, يعني mortgage increase and this stuff.
100%. But do you think, like your network and community helped you at least to answer the question that you were asked during the interviews and during your journey so that you don't feel, you know, surprised by those questions, maybe?
Yes, absolutely. But everyone is different than others. So maybe I find you working in a special position or doing something different than me. So at least in one question was tough for me to find that what is the actual salary that I am eligible for in this country. Uh, I used to work before in Saudi Arabia and before that in Egypt, and it was very different careers. So in my I realized for example, for my work, I realized that technical work is higher in the salaries than the analyst positions or this stuff. Maybe a project manager is better, but not very big between project manager and the technical position. So, uh, based on your specific experience, you maybe not find every question could be answered, but you will find definitely lots of questions can be answered by the network.
Awesome. So this brings maybe a very good point, and maybe I'll ask Coach Mo and Samer and Neil to chime in here about how to find your worth or your salary expectation, and how do you really define that number. Maybe we'll start with Samer and then go to Coach Mo. Is that okay?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a very nice and good question, Mr. Osama, I think. Mr. Osama, let me start by addressing the things from a different angle. Like being networking is how is not how many people you know, is how many people know you. And that's what making you very important. If we look at a very important person in the government or in the world, it's not him. Like Elon Musk, he don't know million of people, but million of people knows him. That's what made him. For you to network and show your visibility high, that's another opportunity. Like what we are doing now in this session organized by Mr. Ahmed is a great opportunity for networking and increasing visibility. So I would really love to see you opening your camera and showing yourself and showing your talents. And that will also help us to even give you better feedback for your cases. That's one thing. Oh, thank you very much. That's really enlightened my day, and I'm very happy to see you. Thank you very much for doing that. I don't mean to intrude to your privacy or getting into your area, but definitely it's a word to hear from a genuine person to tell you that's an added value. But if you go for a job interview and you decide I don't want to turn on my camera, they will not force you to turn on your camera, but definitely they will rank you less. And you have less tools to present yourself. That's very important. And always remember, networking is when you increase people who knows you. It's not about whom you know. Thank you very much.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Samer. Coach Mo, go ahead.
I will leverage what Samer said about um, networking as also, he mentioned the numbers, network as a quality, our support network as the quality of networks you have. One example I'll use is like, for example, Facebook, right? Or the social media. Social media or Facebook, you could have 500 friends on Facebook, but really only maybe 5 or 10 that are truly friends. All the others are just number, right? Acquaintances, right? So when you build a support network, there's something inherent about this, because in the sources of job, I focus a lot on friends, family, and network as a source of a job, because these are people that know you for a long time and they can really stick their neck out for you to recommend you somewhere. So it's very unique. But I find also that before I venture into the emotional intelligence and human development, how was I introducing myself or what? So I'll give you an example. Sometimes I talk to somebody on the phone and I'll say, hi, XYZ person, this is Mahmoud. I've just been laid off from my job and I'm looking for a job. And people would be like, oh, sorry to hear that. Best of luck. Conversation ends, right? It's like, that's not my intention. That was not the intention of the call. But also, with the same token, I didn't say anything about myself other than what I wanted. There's nothing for the other person to connect with, right? I don't even, I cannot even express myself in a way, in a sense that I can project the difference I can make. I don't say in that sentence of that conversation, well, I have been working in the field now, as you know, for 10 years, and the difference I want to make is XYZ, or who I am on my job. And I discover in looking around us, like a lot of my friends as well don't know much details about what they do anyways. It's the regular recurring conversation. Hi, how are you? How's the kids? How blah blah blah. And if I talk about something about my work, I talk about what I do, as in the action I do as a machine, right? Not as a human being. The difference, the impact of my work on people does not automatically come out of us as human beings. So, and then we sit there, we say, oh, I've telling people that I'm looking for a job and nobody's helping. Yeah, because they're not inspired about what you said. They didn't get the difference you want to make. They didn't say, wow, I didn't know you do that. You do that, actually? Hey, guys, get him a job because that thing that he does impacts my life, right? We don't do that. And that's why in my program, and a course that I will also share with you guys over here for the participants, we usually do it as a practice to share it for participants here. There's a very important aspect that is called personal pitch. How can you say 2 to 3 sentences about yourself that would capture somebody's listening, will leave them actually inspired or move something for them, that they would say, um, I'm gonna leave my life that I'm doing regularly, and I'm gonna get out of that and spend half an hour or an hour trying to connect you. So that's the network. Now, in terms of support, feeling good about it, because I don't know the word here, support me. What is the intention of it? A network can support you to keep going and be motivated, and a network can support you by giving you leads to a job. So in aspects, so I talked about the one that gives you leads to a job, the one that supports you to stay motivated, friends and family, okay, and community. Please, if the person that you're with is not giving you a positive outlook on things, don't stay in that conversation a lot. That's not actually a support, right? That's bringing you down, right? If somebody says like, yeah, the market is blah 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 blah, and it's very tough, and you're not gonna find it easy, and all this stuff, I don't need that. I already know that. Why do I have to have a conversation with you to get that, right? I need to have a conversation with somebody that also is not gonna make it hunky dory or too fluffy, but they when I listen to them speaking, they're giving me hope, they're giving me possibility, they're giving me that something is going to move, or they're pointing me in a direction where there's an action to take, versus talk and there's no action. You finish the sentence and, okay, what do I take from that? What did you point me to somewhere where I can add to my life, or you're just putting me behind or making me feel more miserable about where I am now? So be careful, right, in your conversation. No, there's a lot of negativity that's going around. We just came out of the pandemic, so people are already crushed for 4 years with a lot of fear about their life and the fear about their future, and what they're all going to talk about is that fear and feed into that fear. But that fear does not, in my opinion, fear stops us from taking action. If I'm afraid from the market, I'm not going to apply. So a lot of people tell me, like, it's the market is too tough, why would I apply? Okay, I'll say that story, but I want to stop here so that I don't take too much time. But I'll tell you about the story of a friend of mine, if we have the time, during the pandemic, that called me when he was laid off, and what happens with that story. You can just remind me of it. I'll say it when we finish all our stuff.
Thank you so much, Coach Mo. And again, I know that this is a very interesting topic and discussion and amazing wisdom from everybody. I want to invite Neil to share, his sales experience, because again, finding a job is just like signing the sale for a contract. And And I maybe want to get your aspect here, Neil, from how did you do, convincing and negotiation and those phases of, getting a customer to really, sign for you, because it's mostly the same in the job search journey. And I want to again reflect on your journey, Neil, and your expertise, please.
So, I mean, I was fortunate the account exec had to do the negotiating. However, my role was I had to explain the technical benefits of the solution, how it impacts their business and how it's going to make them so that when they go do the negotiations, and I dealt with government, which love to deal, they talk discounts like they just automatically talk discounts. It's just the way they are. But the fact is if you talk about the benefits you can provide and the value you provide to the organization, it's not that you can set whatever salary you want. There's less discussion about the type of salary you're going to get. So there's an expectation. However, you have to have it in your head. And I'd like to say I did this all the time. I really didn't. I was just so focused on being technical guy and stuff. But there are ways to find the information in places like PayScale, and a number of websites. Glassdoor, I think Indeed, and even just looking on like Indeed or LinkedIn and places like that at the job titles themselves that you want to have, you'll see what the salary ranges are offering. So that can give you an idea of the target. But I would be very careful because what they pay in the US or elsewhere is not the same necessarily that they pay in Canada. There's a lot of factors, as Samir will tell you, there's a lot of factors when it comes to how people are paid in different cultures. However, this is what I did. It was kind of goofy, but I remember Jim Carrey once said he wanted to get paid $20 million for a movie, and I thought, and he worked towards that goal. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm not going to get 20 million. I mean, I'm great, but come on, it's like that's a lot. But so I kind of picked a target and a range because I kind of knew what the industry was paying for certain types of roles and certain levels. And so I thought, well, okay, what do I need to do to get to that pay scale? What are the steps? What are the jobs? What are the things that are going to eventually get me there? And it's based on exactly what Ahmed was saying. What is the role you're going to have? What role do you want? You want to be a senior developer? Well, you need to do these things to get to there, and this is the amount of money you're going to get. Like, you just don't say, well, I'll take any job and do that. You may have to. I'm not saying never, because they can always lead to another job. So I did that, and it worked out fairly well. I got pretty lucky in certain ways, but like everybody does. And the other one was we're talking about the networking. So I'm naturally social. I'm fortunate because I'm relatively extroverted. I'm also introverted, but I'm more extroverted, and I'm able to engage well with people. So it's easier for me. But one of the things that Samir talked about is it's who knows you based on over time the companies you work for, the organizations. If you're new to the job market, it's much more difficult. You've got to get to know people through clubs, neighbors, whatever, and discuss exactly what Mo said, the passion you have for something, the excitement of value you can bring, not I want a job, I need a job. I totally agree with him on that. And these people will kind of remember that passion, and they'll hear something and they'll call you. And that's how it worked for me. So I got my first job in IT because I used to be a geologist and economist. That was my next door neighbor. Tell him I built computers, I did this, I did that, and he owned a software company, like a resold software. And so, whatever. But that's how I did it. But yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Neil. Okay, so we're almost like 4 minutes before the end, so maybe we can take the group selfie. I'll stop sharing, and then we can maybe come back and do like 2 more of those questions for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then let everybody enjoy the rest of the Sunday.
And I've put the course information on the chat as well for everyone who's interested, and everyone who's willing to take action.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mo. And I put it also in the document so that you can guys put your LinkedIn on the document and maybe connect with everybody so that if the chat goes away, then you don't feel lost.
And for Osama, we're in the same field as well, so I can advise on the rates and the expectations with the rate as well, right? All you have to do is ask.
Cool, awesome. So, guys, if you want to come on camera for a few seconds and become a celebrity for this call, again, that would help everybody, share this on social media and get to
together.
be together for a while. I'll do
And
together
that would
mood.
be the together mode, right?
I'll keep it a gallery because maybe it's better gallery so that everybody is here. So I'll give it a few
Yeah.
seconds more. If anyone else is, confident enough to be in camera and want to join. Oh, Salah, we lost you. Do you want to join back? Okay, so let's give it a try. So when you're ready, 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, I'll say 1, 2, 3, and then you can smile. So 1, 2, 3, and smile. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. And thanks for our coaches today, Coach Mo, Samer, Neil, Great Wisdom, and everybody who asked questions, Louise, Osama. So I'll go back to the questions and share my screen, and maybe
Ahmed,
we
can
can.
we can I then, like, since we're done, can I say the story quickly of the
Yeah,
person
yeah,
who
yeah.
I
Please
think
go
it's
ahead.
might be very inspiring for people. So sometime maybe 6 months or a year into the pandemic, maybe it was late 2021. Just calling to check up on a friend of mine and say, hey, how are you doing? He said, well, I'm doing good, except that I was laid off from the project I was working on because with the cut down in costs and all this stuff, the bank that I used to work for thought, like, established that the project we're working on is a luxury project, is not essential, so they cut the budget short and they let everybody go. And I said, so what are you going to do? He said, what can I do? It's the pandemic. There's no jobs, right, in the market. The market is down. I said, well, let's hang on a second here. There is no jobs because you went and searched and you didn't find anything posted, or there's no jobs because you think there's no jobs. See the difference here, right? Okay. So he said, no, I actually didn't go and search and all this stuff, right? And then the conversation ended, and I didn't coach him, and I don't coach people except when they ask. That's what we learned in human development. Don't coach people unless they ask, otherwise you're telling them what to do and you're intruding, right? And nobody likes to be told what to do, including you and everybody on this call, right? And then the conversation ends there. Okay, and I'm worrying for my friend, but I cannot push back or push into it, and he's probably aggravated already with being out of a job or being laid off. Fast forward 4 weeks, I am checking on him, and then I said, so how's it going? Are you searching? He said, well, I got a director job at blah 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 job. Another financial institution. He got a director job in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of everybody complaining, and in the middle of everybody saying there's no jobs, right? So there's nothing such as a market that has no jobs. Market could have less jobs or more jobs, and if the people around you are getting hired, then there is jobs. If I am the one not getting hired, then I need to look at, take responsibility and see what gaps do I have and how am I competing. So thank you for allowing me to share that.
No, thanks, Coach Moen. This is a great point, and again, I highly recommend everybody to follow Indeed Hiring Labs website. It's giving a lot of insights to the government of Canada and the government of the US about the markets and how it's working. I'll put the link here. And they just announced, I think last week, that employment rate went 0.1% from last month on the US. So that's an indication that the market is getting back. So you definitely need to follow the news and understand what's happening, but you avoid that negative thought that some people put themselves in. Okay, anyway, let's go back to those two questions real quick here so that everybody can chime in, and also we can leave this in the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And if anyone wants to drop, feel free to drop. So the next question here is, have you identified 3 to 5 roles that align with your skills and career aspirations. And, so far, this is a challenge. So many people, unfortunately, face difficulty understanding which roles should I align for. And some people end up starting with the resume without defining that role, which unfortunately affect their whole journey. If you don't really define what are the role that I should focus on and build my brand around so that I can convince employers that I'm the best employee for that role. This is a big challenge. So I want to maybe get some input in the chat from everybody. Have you identified 3 to 5 roles that align with your skills and career aspiration? The answer is yes or no. I just need yes or no, because this will again raise a flag for you to know why you're not getting interviews, why you're not getting offer letters if you're getting interviews. So share in the chat yes or no to that question, please. And then maybe Samer and then Coach Mo, please provide your wisdom here on how to tackle that question. Go ahead, Samer, while people are sharing their answers in the chat. I know that
Sure.
people sometimes are shy. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. So it's a very important point that everyone is responsible about showing his branding. And we can't wait for HR to study our portfolio and try to figure out where do we fit. And people, when they progress with their experience, they accumulate more years and more skills. And here, where they find themselves have filled different positions in different areas, and that will create the mix. And then they reach to a point they saying, I don't know who I am. It's your responsibility to study your portfolio and identify your brand. You can identify 1, 2, 3 brands, but 3 different brands in 3 different maybe resumes. You cannot apply one resume with the 3 brands. That will look confusing for HR and they don't know where to put you. If you don't identify your brand clearly, it will look distorted for the HR and they don't know how to act. And the easiest way, if they find someone who's saying, I am a electrician and I am HR and I am IT, then that's confusing. 3 different areas. He can be the 3 person at the same time, but he need to show one brand every time. Thank you.
Thank you, Samer. Coach Mo?
Well, I'll get a practical example as well for that. Someone I was coaching, 2 people. Somebody is coaching, and I asked about this, and they said they want to work as a developer. I said, great. So tell me 3 role titles. Like if you would go and search on the internet for jobs, what would you type there? And that's a conversation. But when they actually wrote it on paper, they said senior developer, intermediate developer, and they said something around like front end or between front end and full stack. So all 3 were actually revolving around. So when you look at that, say, okay, are you senior or are you intermediate? Because these are right off the bat, when you write stuff, you start seeing the conflicting thing. You are in conflict yourself while you're writing them, and you're expecting the market to get who you are. So are you senior or are you intermediate? Because when Samuel was talking about and Ahmed was talking about you're going to go to the market with the resume and the LinkedIn profile, these are your marketing tools. So you have to find your positioning first, and then make these tools the tools that advertise you to the public, right? Now, one thing happens sometimes with the resume. Your resume you can always customize when you apply for multiple jobs, but the LinkedIn, you're not going to go in each job you customize. You're going to do the LinkedIn all over again, right? So sometimes there's inconsistencies between the LinkedIn and the resume that you put. That enough could take you out of anybody's consideration. But let's go back to the 3. So what I usually do with the 3, and I'll apply on myself. I am a principal IT consultant. I have more than 20 years of experience in that field. So for me, the 3 jobs is a principal consultant, or I could also do solution architecture, okay, or I can do project management. And each one of them I can do with certain capacities, right? So the reason why I put the 3 is to capture a broader target of the market. So if no one is hiring for consultants a lot, then I can go for a solution architect. If not, I can go for the project manager. Okay. And each one I have a base resume for that, but I can easily reposition it quickly and turn it around quickly if I'm applying for the second or third. But I always have a principal one. If you notice that they're 3 different, they're not one of the same or a variation of the same, because then I am not broadening the market that I am going for. And that's why when people have 3 of them, that a flavor of only one, then they go to the market and say, I didn't find any job openings, right? There isn't enough. And that's fine. It could be the case. And that's why we do this. Is one of them going to always be dearer than the other 2 to your heart? Yes, of course. And that's the one I always say that would be number 1 for you, because when you go express yourself in it to people, then it's the most genuine of who you are. So that's my input on that.
Thank you, Coach Mo. Neil, do you have any follow-up here, or you're good?
Yeah, I think what Mo was saying about the job titles, one thing to be careful is companies will often have different titles for the same job. So if you understand what those titles are, you put them in LinkedIn for the search. So you tag, the system picks you up. So for a sales consultant or sales engineer that works with a sales rep, you can be a solution architect, a sales consultant, a sales engineer, a technical strategist, or whatever. Just kind of look around the different companies that you know that have these types of titles to get an understanding of what different companies have, and make sure you communicate that, so that you're not developer. Well, it might be programmer, it might be, they just sometimes have a slightly different view. You just don't want to knock yourself out because you picked the wrong keyword, missed a keyword.
Absolutely. Good point. Thanks, Neil. Okay, so I think we'll just take that last question here, and then we'll end up here, and then maybe we'll continue the other questions in the next session. So have you evaluated the skills gap between your qualifications and your target role? And again, this is a tricky one. I guess, most people, if they don't do the previous steps or questions well, this is where this becomes very tricky and too much overwhelming here, because if your gaps are gonna be to one role, then you are limited to a little bit of few certifications or few areas that you need to work on. But if you keep this broaden, so that you then become overwhelmed here by so many courses, so many certifications that you're chasing, and then unfortunately that adds a lot of stress on you to land the job or continue with your journey. So highly recommend, to make sure you have this step first done properly, and give it the right time, so that you can really, get to know what is the role that you're really looking for, that pays the bills and also help you with your aspirations, and gets you excited. And then start checking what are your gaps, and that's, in my mind, this is something that is tricky. So you definitely need to speak to somebody who's doing that role today, or speak to a coach, because when you are not sure, you may presume that going for an Azure maybe certification is going to help you, but maybe it's not going to help you. Maybe you want to go for a Google certification or an Amazon certification. Again, this is a lot of things that affect your journey, because you keep thinking, oh, I'm missing that certification, I'm missing that, experience, I'm missing that area that I need to develop in order to get the role, and this will affect your confidence. And when your confidence go down, unfortunately, your mindset becomes affected too. So this is where, again, those steps or those questions are done in a sequence, in order for you to go through your journey and focus on specific areas that will reduce your stress. I'll pause here, maybe ask Samer and Coach Mo and Neil to chime in. Go ahead, Samer, first, and let's try to do this in the next 6 minutes or so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. I will try to make it quick as possible. So having a gap between the qualification that we have and the job, it should not restrict us from applying for the job. So I will tell everybody, don't screen out yourself, because HR have certain requirements. You might have some missing skills, and that's area for development. Apply for the job, and imagine, look, when you join the company will give you some training, and if your specialty is IT, definitely your training will not be in engineering or in facility management, it will be also in the same field of IT, because some gap of skills between what you have currently and what the job requires. Apply for the job, join the competition, and let the HR do their part of screening, and you might be one of the best candidates to get the job. Thank you.
Thank you, Samar. Coach Mo?
Definitely look out also for mentors to check between. Mentors are people who are on the field for a number of years higher than you are, and specifically if they are in hiring positions. You could get a mentor that's not in, has never been a hiring manager or doesn't have a team, right? But I'm talking to the ones that are hiring managers and they have a team. They can tell you in your field, right? And you can do also, you can reach out to people in the field that you don't know through LinkedIn and all this stuff, and ask them for informational 5 minutes, 10 minutes informational interview. Tell them, this is what I'm interested to do. Can you look at my LinkedIn profile and tell me, do I need to take this certification as a must, or what am I missing any qualifications to perform XY job? They can tell you. And people usually, if they're nice enough to respond and add to LinkedIn, they want to make a difference, so they can answer this question. But I will cautious when you look at job description, look at things that the employer is saying. Like, for example, sometimes they say must have, nice to have, right? So if it's definitely in the nice to have, you don't have it, apply, right? If 80% of the job description fits you and it's not 100%, don't hold back because of the 20% difference. Because I'll tell you this, you will not apply for this job, but somebody who has 30% and not the 70 will apply and will get the job. And you'll be sitting there feeling bad and sorry about yourself. So sometimes, because when we are highly responsible, we think, oh, you know what, I don't know this 10%. So, I want to be a responsible person, and that's fine. Be a responsible person, but still apply and have these things sorted in a conversation. Also get feedback. Now, this is the thing I always talk about. Get a concrete, tangible feedback from people that you're not qualified. Don't have this mental game with yourself, talking to your head and your heart talking back to you that I'm not qualified. I often ask people, I said, did anybody, for example, the Canadian experience thing, when I apply, when people apply and say, I don't have Canadian experience, I said, did you apply to any job? And in the interview, they specifically spelled out, you do not have Canadian experience. And most of the time people are like, no, I was just like, nobody answered to my application. I said, there could be tons of reasons why people don't answer your application. It doesn't have to be that you're thinking of, right? You have no tangible evidence that that's the case. Okay, so on qualifications, if you think that I don't have the qualifications, it's better to hear 3-4 times from employer, well, we didn't have you pass through because you don't have X. Try to get hard evidence versus mental conversation.
Thank you, Coach Mo. Neil, go ahead if you have any.
Just what Mo said on the qualifications part, those job descriptions are looking for unicorns. So if they have the absolute perfect candidate, which is very rare, fine. But most of the time, they're just trying to get some of them. And I've said this before, you look at some of the things they ask for, like 10 years in AI experience, and the industry hasn't been around that long. So you just gotta, women in particular have a very difficult time with this. There's been studies showing that women will always feel they have to have every single qualification. Do not go by that. Just if you hit the 20-30%, you can hit some of those. And particularly the ones where you see are the base qualifications, the real base ones, just go for it. The other one is when they say have to have a university degree. Yeah, some of them do that, but if you have a college computer programming degree, do it anyways, because experience works. Okay, just if you've got some of it, put it in. On the certifications, that is a slippery slope in cost, as well as what it looks like on your resume when you have a ton of them. People start questioning exactly how you got them. But you can also do it in a thoughtful way based on the industries in your area. So in Ottawa, the federal government's a massive industry. They have a significant investment in Microsoft Azure as well as Microsoft Office 365. They also own AWS. So if you're looking at a Canada Post or the federal government and you want to do infrastructure management, well, you can get the basic infrastructure course certification for Azure. That's for them. There are very few people have more than that, those qualifications. So don't assume every candidate that's going for those jobs has 20 certifications in Microsoft Azure and whatever. Sometimes just that one is enough, and then just work from there with the interviews and stuff like that. It's always looking for the unicorn, and I would be very careful thinking you got to spend the next year getting multiple certifications. That's not the case.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Neil. Again, guys, thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. We really had a great time, lots of discussions, lots of wisdom. And this is why this community is so powerful, to help you with your journey. So keep coming in and keep, bringing your friends and whoever is in need. This is your chance to, get the support in a few minutes from experts, people who have been in the trenches, people who shared, experience, done big projects, big programs, and other, achievements. Any final words, anyone, before we end up here? Neil, Coach Mo, Samer. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday, and we'll hope to see you in our webinar Thursday. I put the link on the chat, so feel free to register. And take care and stay safe, stay proud, stay positive. Job search is a journey. It takes a while. We're here to help you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you all. Thanks to meet you, Neil.
Same here, guys. Take care.